What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Lucid, more specifically the upcoming Q3 numbers and how it might align with 2024. So I want to go over all the things that you need to know, but first make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So with October coming right around the corner, most likely we will be getting their upcoming Q3 numbers. Historically, in 2024, they did submit October the 7th. One thing that Lucid did do in Q2 was they moved it up. And so we already do know that Tesla and Rivian, pretty much at the beginning of the quarter, they put out their production and delivery numbers. Lucid's always been lagging, and that changed last quarter. So their Q2 numbers, they did move up. So it is fair to assume in 2024, they did it October the 7th. They might actually move it potentially up and have it, let's say, Friday, October the 3rd. So that could be a good catalyst for this upcoming week. So in case you do not know, they initially did have a target of 20,000. On August the 5th, they did lower it to between 18 to 20. And so these are some of the numbers right now that we can kind of use as a benchmark. And so ultimately for, at the very bottom, grand total is 6,075. That's Q1 and Q2. We can kind of start to speculate a little bit on what might be coming for this quarter through, for instance, flyovers. Last couple flyovers have been absolutely on point. One thing as well to give some insight on what might be coming as well in Q4 is based on this last interview with Mark. He did mention that they are extending that 7,500 credit throughout until the end of the year. That's something that they will have to pay out of pocket. That's not going to be reimbursed in some way or whatever else. And as far as I know the 7,500 credit currently up until September the 30th only applies in Lucid's case to leases. I don't know if Mark and Lucid are going to extend that across the board just for purchases and also leases, since they're technically paying out of pocket. I don't know if they're just going to kind of broaden that, or if they're just going to stick to kind of the pre-existing thresholds of just being a lease. That wasn't really explained at all. So in the upcoming Q2 or Q3 earnings, that's something that us as retail investors can pose a question to and hopefully get some additional clarity on. But aside from that though, it goes to show that they're really trying to ramp up. And going back over here, there's a couple different ways how to interpret this. So Lucid can't just put the pedal to the metal and just ramp up like crazy, because we saw that in 2022 and 2023 when they kind of created mass amounts of inventory. Market equally hated them because it showed that they didn't have demand. So you need to be balanced between production and delivery. And so ultimately Q1, we kind of saw that. Q2 as well, somewhat still a little bit lagging on the delivery side, but they did attribute a lot of that to, I believe it was Saudi Arabia. So when it comes down to last quarter, that was the highest from what you can see that they have ever produced. So they are on a good path. So we know that they can actually do that. Realistically, this is where I do feel that the market will see anything less than 5,500 as a negative. So a lot of high expectations. You pretty much need to have back-to-back, I guess, quarters where you're hitting all-time good numbers, all-time record numbers for Lucid in order for them to hit their target. So what I mean by that is, let's say they do bare minimum, what I kind of said about 5,500. Let's say they do that. That puts us to 11,575. If you kind of look back historically, Q2, Q3, Q4, Lucid always somehow musters the strength in Q4 just to explode and just ramp up like crazy. So in general, they always kind of results in like a 30% swing for the most part. So if we just do this times by 1.3, so let's say they do 7,150 in Q4, in line with that 30% boost that they magically get. That puts us between, or at that 18,725. So just within that kind of benchmark. A lot of people are saying that they did that on purpose just to kind of lower the bar themselves for them to easily beat. But it's definitely going to be a difficult kind of scenario for them to hit 5,500 and also 7,150 in Q4. So again, I do feel anything less than 5,500, because if you think about it, that could potentially as well affect Q4. So let's say they only come in at 4,000, for instance, then that'll put them a couple thousand shy, most likely, by the end of the year. So I do believe they will be able to do at least most likely around 5,500. That's how I feel that they can do. If they come in better, like 7,000 or more, then that's even better. But I think realistically, we can assume 5,500 is going to be the bare minimum that the market will see as positive. Anything less than that, market will automatically assume that they cannot hit their marks. Flip side, if they exceed this, then the market is going to price in automatically that they can and will beat their 2025 targets. So I just wanted to kind of pop on and go over this, but it's going to be an interesting next couple of quarters in reality. And if you think about it, like I said, this last quarter, so the Q2, when they did 3,863, that was the highest that they've ever done. So they are going to be on like a massive war path, and hopefully they are able to continue that massive growth into 2026 and then 2027. Because if you think about it, if they can do 18,000 and show that they can actually do 18,000 with a sufficient amount of demand, then going into next year, we might actually even see 30 to possibly even 40,000 as their targets for 2026. So let me know your general thoughts. How do you think Q3 is going to play out? Do you think it is going to be more in line with, for instance, last quarter, or kind of what's your viewpoint on that? Looking historically though, Q3 of 2023 and also 2024, they somehow actually go down. So this one went from 2,173 to 1,550, and then 2,110 to 1,805. So they don't really have that good of a track record for Q3. So let's say they do come in at 3,500 for whatever reason, then they will for sure miss on their end goal. But let me know your viewpoint and how you see things playing out. So like I said, 5,500 is going to be that key kind of number. Anything less than that, market will see that as a negative. Anything better, then yeah, that'll be positive. At the same time, deliveries have to be equally weighted with the production. If there is a lag, then you're going to see a lot of people talking about demand issues, tariffs affecting Lucid, and everything else. So let me know your thoughts. Hopefully everyone's having an amazing weekend. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.